Take a step into the future with the bonus round. This time we assemble a panel to predict where games are going in the next 5 years. And you'll be surprised by what they say. Is this the end of game consoles as we know them?
I don't think anybody's ever going to stress, the capacity of those boxes unless you start layering on other things.
Find out why our panel thinks you may never see a real PlayStation 4 or Xbox 720. The debate begins right now in the bonus round. Welcome to the bonus round. I'm Jeff Keighley, and in the bonus round, we have the biggest names in the video game industry get together to talk about the future of the industry in this episode. We're going to get out our crystal balls and tell you what you can expect from the consoles and the game developers and game design in the future. And joining me, we have a very special panel today. We've got Seamus Blackley, who's the head of the games department at Creative Artists Agency and also the co-creator of the Xbox. Seamus, a rare public appearance for you.
Oh, thank you very much for offering it to me.
Good to have you here. Next, we've got a famous guest that's been on the bonus round many times, but he dressed it up today. Michael Pachter from Wedbush Morgan Securities. Michael, we didn't have you on for an episode, so is this how you have to step it up now?
I figured I had to crawl my way back into the limelight. Thanks for having me.
The tie looks nice, Pachter. Thank you. You look good in purple. And finally, we have the former editor-in-chief of Electronic Gaming Monthly, Dan Shu. Dan, great to have you back on the bonus round.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so this bonus round is all about the future of the video game business. We're going to get out our crystal balls. We're going to predict about what games are going to be like in 2012, 2015. Seamus, where do you see games going down the road? It's a big vision question, but let's start with that.
It's a question that we've been thinking about a lot in terms of what it means for the creative challenges of games into the future. And I think that the nearest analogy that I can draw to the way that I'm thinking about it is the way that we see businesses like Facebook or MySpace migrate from being new, technologically driven, interesting products in and of themselves into being more a standard feature set that people expect, from any website that they go to. And I think that as we see, a level of interactivity, you're going to start to see the sort of art of game design and the art of creative, interesting, entertaining interactivity becoming really pervasive into life in general. So I think what you're going to see is game design and what we think of as traditional games moving into a much broader context and becoming a much more important and a vibrant part of our everyday lives.
So Michael, do you think the game companies, are they ready to capitalize on this? Are they thinking outside the box?
If you consider Microsoft a game company, then absolutely. The publishers probably aren't there yet. I mean, EA is probably closer than anybody.
Microsoft more than Nintendo or
Yeah,
Sony?
And I mean, props to Seamus in his former life. I mean, I think that the Xbox team, the original team, you left it, the original Xbox team had a vision that what Seamus just described was going to happen. And they have stayed on message. I'm not sure consumers are ready for it yet. We're not seeing a lot of social networking within games other than, somebody talking through the headset about how you suck at Halo. But it's headed there. And I think that, that elements of Xbox Live, like the marketplace, just the idea that you can download a movie, somebody's going to do it. And then in 5 years, a lot of people are going to do it.
And you'll have it on your cell phone, you'll have it on your computer.
And when people see that success, then the cell phone companies say, hey, wait a minute, maybe we need a piece of that. Spore showing up on cell phones as opposed to just old games or a dumbed down Madden. Spore on a cell phone is cool. And I know it's just kind of like an Origins, creature creator thing, but we're getting there. And I think that consumers have to embrace it. So Microsoft had the vision. Nintendo and Sony kind of dissed them and said, we don't care. Well, Sony cares a lot right now. I think actually Sony's doing too much at once, and they're probably going to fail at all of it. But they're really trying to turn PlayStation Network, PlayStation Home into something. Nintendo's got, the Wii channel. I mean, they're there. They're kind of inching in. When everybody's there, when the PSP is there, when the DS is there, and everything's connected, yeah, cell phones, PCs, they're all going to be connected. And when a consumer can go from device to device to device and have continuity, that's when I think the social network actually really works.
And the device loses all of its importance.
Right, they're device agnostic. Right, exactly.
Is that what gamers want, you think, Dan? Playing games on their cell phone?
Depending on who you're talking to, right? Like, who's the gamer now? If you're talking about, like, to me, like the hardcore gamer, that sounds a little bit scary. Like, I like my traditional hardcore GTAs, Halos, whatever.
Your big 50-inch screen with your 5.1 surround sound.
That's what I like.
Right.
But I kind of feel
7.1, baby.
I kind of feel like with all these advances, like you see a lot of like Sony over the last few years, they're trying to do a little bit of everything, you know. But I think now that you've seen what the iPhone could do and what the Wii can do, that maybe we're going to see a move in the next, you're talking about the near future in the next 5 years, maybe simplifying of things, you know, overall, just like simpler devices, simpler controllers, simpler experiences to try to draw in that bigger audience that they know is out there. Because now that we've seen Nintendo have success with the touchscreen, with the Wii controller.
And with like Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
and
all these games are doing
ways.
well. Of course, you have, of course, the GTAs and the Call of Duties to balance those out, like hardcore experiences. But those games are really expensive to produce, and they take a lot of people to make. So I think companies are going to start taking a look at this and saying, hey, if we can figure out how to reach that more casual market without alienating the hardcore market, we could have the best of both worlds without spending millions and millions of dollars to produce these games and having teams of 150 or 200 people to develop these games over 2 or 3 years.
So you mentioned about the console life cycle and how that may change going forward. I mean, Michael, when do you expect we're going to start hearing about the, you know, the next Xbox or the next PlayStation? I mean, are we years and years away from that? Or
Well, there will be new models. As you know, Sony's had 5 since they launched the PS3. I don't think, unless we have a paradigm shift of how we play games, you know, to holograms or virtual reality or something, you're going to get a new box. You'll get an updated. There'll be
there
an
will
Xbox.
never be a PlayStation 4?
Not unless we switch from playing on a television monitor, because I don't think that.
So no PlayStation 4, no Xbox 720?
Neither. Well, again, they may name something that, but
Right.
let me. The analogy is television, okay? And I know none of you guys were alive then, but from 1964 to 2000, television programming didn't change at all. Color TV, period, same signal, same everything. How many TVs do you think your parents bought between 1964 and 2000? And the answer is probably 10. Because you got a bigger screen and stereo and surround sound, and you got the home theater and finally the flat panel. Content didn't change at all. We're going to get a lot of consoles. But the content, it doesn't make business sense for, if a Spore costs 50 million bucks, it doesn't make business sense to spend 150 million on the next game, because nobody's really sure they can get a return on that. Now I agree, if we have, you know, it touching people on 27 different devices and it permeates their life, maybe you can collect a little bit more, but I don't think so.
So these game systems become just sort of like delivery platforms for these experiences?
Absolutely. And you were at the Sony press conference when they unveiled the PS3.
Right.
And they talked about the 1,000 independent video feeds on the screen at once, and they showed all these little dots, these little TV screens. That box really will do that.
Right.
So are we going to ever have a game that has 1,000 players with 1,000 controllers all on the screen at once? That's crazy. We don't need it. So I don't think anybody's ever going to stress, you know, the capacity of those boxes, unless you start layering on other things,
Right.
multimedia things.
That's pretty amazing though, to hear you say that, you know, there won't be another Xbox or another PlayStation. Do you agree with that, Shane?
With the commoditization of the technology, you know, that the launch of the console almost becomes a marketing event. And I think it's going to be an interesting sort of a time as the imperative to launch a new box sort of lessens in importance at the same time as the voice of consumers and their connection to, you know, game designers and the people who are making the content they want increases. And so it's sort of a race condition as to whether or not a new console launch is going to be a viable marketing opportunity, or if there's something else, if everybody's suddenly switching to online distribution.
Right.
And saving a lot of money and doing bigger games that way is going to be a bigger marketing spend. And then you're going to see a war, essentially a marketing battle between brands. Once you start downloading, the only difference between Microsoft and Sony will be a brand.
Or
You
it
agree,
could be
Dan?
a situation where they're looking at the Wii model and saying, like, because your question is, like, if we're going to see a PlayStation 4, we're kind of thinking of it in a traditional sense, like a more powerful machine, like the
Right.
next generation. But when you look at games like, say, a Heavy Rain or a Gears of War 2, and you kind of think, well, is there that much more technology to improve upon? You know, like we're kind of reaching this diminishing returns.
Couldn't you see, you know, like a physics, you know, more physics processors in there, or better graphics
But
cards?
now all
and
that stuff's going to cost money, right?
Right.
It's going to take talent and brains and a lot of manpower to take advantage of that kind of stuff. So you could talk about, sure, we want better graphics, better physics, better artificial intelligence, but I don't know if that's what a lot of consumers want. You know, I think they might look at this and say, okay, we saw Nintendo come in here and shake things up. Maybe there's another equivalent of a DS touchscreen or the Wii motion controller out there where maybe that's what I think they're going to be looking at now. It's like, let's not just make a more powerful machine, but we might need to change the way people play games, because Nintendo's done it and they're being really successful with it. I think someone at Sony and someone at Microsoft, they're probably thinking.
They're thinking about that. All
They're
right,
like,
Dan.
how
well,
do
when
we take advantage of that? You know?
Excellent. All right, well, when we come back, we're going to talk much more about the future of the gaming industry. Next time, Seamus, Michael, and Dan continue to debate where gaming is going next. Will it still matter who's first to market with a new console?
Okay, there's got to be something different we should do for next generation to become profitable right from the start.
Find out next time, only here in the bonus round.
Bonus round.